Once again, our lovely trio gathered for another meeting. "Boss, how are we going to distribute the remaining income?" the girl asked the young man. While the skeleton didn't seem interested in their conversation, he was pleased with his new sword. Like the director of a large corporation, the boss replied, "We will do as usual, take what we can and use the useless things as bait for the next group." Happy and smiling, the girl replied that she was satisfied with this arrangement and that she would take care of the details. The boss nodded. The girl added that monsters can't use magic weapons. "Maybe it's time to take off the magic stones and sell them, you could make a lot of money," she added. Surprised, the young man asked her again if it was true and they could make a lot of money. There was a pause, then he added, "Maybe I should go to town for the first time in a long time." In the next second, the two were alarmed beyond belief. They looked at him with wide eyes. The skeleton has no eyes, of course. A little startled by their reaction, he asked them why they were so surprised. They didn't seem to want to send their boss to the village at all. Skeleton suggested that the maid go. The young man asked again why they didn't want to send him alone. The skeleton replied that he was not good at transforming into a human. There's still a tail sticking out. In the next second, it was clear to everyone without words that a girl was going to the city. "Okay," the boss added, "the important thing is to grab a lot of goodies on the way." And in a moment, she was walking through the woods towards the village. She was wearing a dress, and nothing gave away her mysterious appearance, only a dark cloak that covered her entire head. "The weather is not bad today," she noticed. Farewell, she turned toward the cave and said she would be back soon. After some time, the girl reached the village, where she went into the shop of an experienced jeweler, who carefully examined all the stones she had brought with her with a magnifying glass. "I'm afraid we can't buy one of those," he told her. She stood there a little confused and didn't know what to say. "Why can't you buy these stones?" she asked him briefly. Her eyes glowed with a bright green light. The jeweler replied that he needed some time and went under the table. He pulled out a beautiful-looking blue stone and placed it in front of her. "Here, look, it's a B-grade stone. We commoners have to work hard for 10 years to buy it." After that, he continued to explain. "The stones you brought are much more valuable, you know. Such stones can only be used by Imperial Palace mages or high-level mages." Next to the stone he had just placed in front of her was a huge, beautiful-looking ruby, emerald, and the rest of the gems. The jeweler thought for a while, then added that such a stone might be bought by a jeweler in the capital who had an agreement with the imperial family, or the wizard's tower might be interested in such a stone. "The capital and the wizard's tower, I see," the girl said. She thought that the capital was too far away for her, she would have to visit the tower. But it seemed that she didn't really want to go there, so she tied her bag with one hand. Nevertheless, she decided to do it for her boss. She said goodbye to the jeweler, who wished her to be more careful. As she was leaving, he called out to her that she had forgotten one of her jewels. "She's obviously got a good jeweler." She turned in his direction and said quietly that it was his tip, then thanked him again and thanked him for the information. She called him a man. "What a queer girl," the jeweler pronounced. "She's human, too, isn't she?" After a while, the girl reached the mage tower. It was a stately building, reflecting the taste, style, and wealth of its owner. She was met at the entrance by guards who advised her to see the guild leader if she wanted to sell her stones. She replied well and went forward. "I will escort you to the office of our leader. Please follow me," one of the guards told her. With the lantern in his hand, he began to climb the long stone staircase to the top. The girl thought that at the top was the office of the head of the wizard's tower. And the shape of the building was no accident. This building resembled a dungeon in its structure. After a while, they reached the top and the girl approached the office of the guild leader. A beautiful young girl surrounded by her bodyguards greeted the girl and said with a smile that she was happy to see her. She introduced herself as the head of the Wizard's Tower Guild and was pleased by her presence. Behind her back was a large magic crystal. The head mage of the tower stood up and asked the girl who she was. The girl thought that this person had a lot of mana. Afterwards, the woman in the feathered hat added that when she was told that the tower was expecting a child, she thought she wouldn't even do it. But the guard told her that she had brought her a large number of mana stones. She asked her if she had heard anything about her tower. She really hoped that the stones she had brought were of high quality, up to the highest standards of her tower. Her eyes never stopped shining with a pleasant pink light. And in the next second, the girl suggested that she check the quality of the stones herself. She opened her bag and began to pour out a huge amount of beautiful gems onto the table. The guild leader froze in astonishment and couldn't say a word. She had never seen such a huge amount of gemstones before. These are A-grade stones, she thought enthusiastically. Afterwards, she picked up a few stones to examine them more closely. Some of them were of the highest quality. How could this little girl have so many treasures? She kept wondering in her head. Who is she really? The sorceress thought to herself. Then she asked the child a question. Where are you from, my dear? The girl remained silent for a while, but then the sorceress turned her attention to her hair. Among the 8 great families of the empire, there was one with hereditary silver hair. It turned out that the daughter of this family ran away from home and took the stones with her. There was no way she could explain to herself that the girl had brought such a large amount of mana stones with her. Anyway, she's a noble lady, she can't know how much they cost. She continued her mental analysis. The mage then interrupted the pause in the air and said she apologized for her earlier rudeness. She had not expected the stones to be in such good condition. She explained that her guild would like to buy them all. She then offered 50 ounces of gold for each. And they will offer a special price of 80 ounces of gold for the highest quality stones. All the while, her guest remained mysteriously silent, listening intently to this head sorceress. Meanwhile, one of the guards brought them 2 cups of hot tea. After a pause, the girl asked her if she was sure she wanted to give her 50 ounces of gold, remembering the words of the jeweler in the village shop who had told her that commoners had to work hard for 10 years to buy one of her stones. Typically, a person earns 10 ounces of gold in 1 year. 10 years is 100 ounces. Of course, this girl realized that she was being tricked, so she raised her eyes and looked at the sorceress with big green lights and declared, "Man, if you cheat me, you're gonna die." The sorceress froze and did not know what to say to her. She thought to herself that her trick had failed, and it seemed that this girl clearly knew what she was doing. Then she added, "To be honest, our guild doesn't have enough money to buy them all." "Then buy as many as you can," the girl replied sternly. After saying these words, the guild leader smiled. She opened a huge chest containing a large amount of gold coins. 2,000 ounces of gold is all we have, she said. The guild leader then offered her a new deal. She would like to exchange the remaining stones for something very valuable. The girl asked her if she was sure of the value of the goods, since they should be easy to sell. To which she received the affirmative answer that you don't have to worry about it. After that, the guild master pointed with her hand as if to offer her a way out, and told the girl to follow her. She will show her these precious items. The owner of this building added that the rules did not allow outsiders in here, but as an exception, she agreed to let her guest in. After a while, they were in the spacious room that was the storeroom of this tower. And she began to show her jewelry, which was of great value. It was a 4-carat diamond tiara with magic stones set in the center. Mages could certainly use one of these. Here's a special ring with living black pearls. If there is poison near the wearer of this ring, it will make a howling sound. These pearls were made by alchemy. The girl looked at the box containing the ring, but it was clear from her emotions that she didn't like everything she saw. Turning the conversation into a joke, the sorceress laughed and asked, "Didn't you enjoy it?" "After all, alchemy is an unhygienic science," she explained. "Of course I can understand your disgust. She then suggested that she turn her attention to a new topic. What will she say this time? It was a huge red heart-shaped crystal, reflecting the light brightly and glittering in the dim glow of the lamps. The red stone of love, she added. This diamond is said to make love come true. Having said that, she turned her head towards the girl with a smile, as if waiting for her reaction. The sorceress seemed to have found an approach, for the diamond that embodied love really interested the girl. She knew who she could use it on. In the next second, her eyes burned with a great desire to possess this object. Observing her reaction, the sorceress added that if she infused mana into this gem in front of someone she liked, the spirit residing in this precious crystal would establish eternal love between the two people. The girl interjected, between the two of them, really? Yes, I give my word as the head of the Tower Guild. The sorceress replied quickly and sternly. Did you like it? She asked the girl as if expecting some kind of reaction, realizing that she really needed such a diamond. Impatiently, the girl exclaimed, yes, I would like to take the diamond for myself. And as if continuing her subtle game, the experienced sorceress added that this gem could cause them a lot of trouble anyway. It can drown the emperor in the depths of worship and love. Therefore, she thinks it would be difficult to set a price for such a thing. It is a very expensive and valuable item. For a second, the girl was stunned, unable to find the right words, but in the next second, it showed her something this sorceress had never seen before. Her eyes were wide open and she couldn't believe that this little girl could have such an item. The child then added that with all the money she had received and the item she held in her hands, she would like to have the diamond for herself. She offered her rare weapon as ransom for a heart-shaped stone.